The moment is finally here. The protein Pop Tart tutorial video. So today we're going to be making a frosted raspberry protein Pop Tart. So stay tuned. So the very first thing you need to do for this recipe is preheat your oven on 350 degrees. So for our recipe today, we're gonna need our all-purpose flour, 45 grams, 12 grams PB2, 50 grams plain Greek yogurt for the protein Pop-Tart base for the dough, 3 grams baking soda, 3 grams baking powder, sweetener of your choice. You can use stevia or you can use just regular sweetener like this. For filling, we're gonna need our raspberries, raspberry Jello mix, Xanthan Gum. For our frosting on top, we're gonna need a little bit of fat-free Greek yogurt, fat-free cream cheese, and cheesecake pudding mix. So now we're going to blend up the dough. I accidentally started a little bit because I got a little ahead of myself, but let me show you why this is so important. We're going to show the actual blend of the dough and why this blender is so important. So as you can see how it forms like this? See, if you don't have a good blender, it's not gonna come together like this. So when you finish making the dough, it's a little sticky. So you're just gonna let it sit for a little bit and let it cool down, and then you're gonna start to roll it out. So now we're gonna make our raspberry homemade jelly. So we're gonna take the dough out, put it on our tray to be rolled out, but now we're gonna take our food processor again, and we're gonna add our raspberries, our fresh raspberries. So here I got my 100 grams of raspberries in here. I'm gonna quick pulse it a little bit, and then we'll add our xanthan gum. So as you can see, this is what it looks like when we first pulse it up. So once you blended up your raspberries, you're gonna add some xanthan gum, your stevia, and then you'll add just a tiny bit of water, and then you'll add your raspberry Jello mix. So what the xanthan gum is gonna act as is it's gonna bond it. It's gonna make it like that jelly texture, and so kind of hold it together. As you can see, our jelly, our raspberry jelly is done. Here's the texture you're looking for. So as you can see, we want a nice jelly type consistency. So now you just add this to your fridge to let it chill out while you're making your dough, and then you're gonna add it to the dough. Now the next step is we're going to roll out our dough. So our dough has cooled down, and we're gonna roll it up into a nice big ball, and then separate it in two. If your dough is still a little sticky, it happens sometimes, what you wanna do is spray it with a little bit of butter spray, and then put a little bit of flour on your hands and roll it together like that. So now we're gonna roll out our dough. We're gonna spray our pan with a little bit of butter spray, and we're going to take a tiny bit of our flour, literally a tiny bit, and just sprinkle it on there. We're gonna take one of our pieces of dough, and we are going to smash it on here. Flip, smash, flip, smash, flip. So we have a nice round piece of dough. We're gonna take our rolling pin and roll that out. So now we just repeat that process with the other piece of dough. All right, so now our bottom piece of dough is now rolled out, and now we get to add our jelly. And the key is we want to add it right along the middle and leave about an inch on the outside. All right, so now we've got all of our raspberry homemade jelly on there. Now we're gonna take our fresh raspberries and add them on top of our raspberry jelly. So we added another 60 grams of fresh raspberries on there. And so now we're gonna add our top piece. All right, so this next part is very, very important. You're gonna take the edges of the Pop Tart and you're gonna fold them over before we add our top piece. You see how I folded them over like that? So you wanna pinch the edges, the seams, so when you add your top piece, these will not come undone whenever you cook. Now we have our top piece. We're gonna add that onto our Pop Tart. So we take and we tuck it underneath and then press down. So now that you have it all tucked underneath, you're gonna take it and you're gonna press the edges against the pan. So just with your thumb like this. All right, so now we have our beautiful sealed up Pop Tart and we're gonna crimp the edges. Now we're just gonna take a regular fork like this, take the end and crimp the edges. So as you can see, we're all crimped up. Ready to go in the oven. Now, a little bit of this Pam. Now we put it in the oven and we wait. So now you can see our Pop Tart is all cooked up, looking pretty. Bottom's nice and cooked. Now we're just gonna let it chill out and cool down. And so once I let it cool down for a little bit, I like to put it into the freezer and let it really cool down, and then before I add my icing so the icing doesn't melt, and then you have a nice cool Pop Tart. I'm not a big fan of hot Pop Tarts. So now we're gonna make our protein frosting for the top of our Pop Tart. We're gonna need a little bit of fat-free Greek yogurt, 1 ounce of our fat-free cream cheese, 1.5 servings of this cheesecake pudding mix, which is 12 grams. But what you can do differently is if you want to use protein powder, you would use twice as much. So you would use 24 grams of the protein powder to combat the 12 grams of the pudding mix. So vice versa, if you only used half of this, 6 grams, you would use 12 grams. You just double it. Always double it when substituting for the pudding mix in the recipes. Then we're gonna add 2 grams of the Xanthan Gum, 2 grams of your sweetener of choice. Then for your liquid, you can either add unsweetened vanilla almond milk or just water. I'm just gonna use water for the sake of not adding any more macros to the meal. So you're gonna add all of these ingredients to a small bowl, and then you're gonna take your hand mixer. Obviously you're gonna put the little mixers in there, and then we're gonna mix it up. So here we have all of our ingredients in there. So actually I put in 110 milliliters, 110 grams of water in here. So as you can see, we got our thick frosting for our protein Pop-Tart. Now I'm gonna put this in the freezer for about 10 minutes, let it thicken up, then we're gonna add to the Pop-Tart. So our Pop-Tart is fresh out of the freezer, looking scrumptious. And we have our protein cheesecake icing. Now we are going to add our icing. all of our icing on there. Now to be topped with our sprinkles. And now we're gonna add a little bit of these sprinkles on there. So now we got our sprinkles on there. And now we enjoy that perfect cheesecake icing on top with the sprinkles. But wait till that bite though. That's when the real fun begins. Just look, almost as big as the one on my shirt. It's like that got milk mustache. Like say what after that first bite? Look at that raspberry homemade gelling filling. Oh man. That's insane. It looks like raspberry sherbet inside of a Pop Tart. Can't you tell? I'm on a diet.